Is architecture dead? People keep saying that architecture is dead. I actually disagree, but I do think one type of architecture is dying, which is PPT architecture, which is kind of look amazing on the slide, but it doesn't really survive reality. So today I wanted to explain what I mean and why I'm thinking to quit the old version of architecture and what I think will still be valuable in the future. My name is Han, and I'm a registered architect based in Hong Kong, and I have been in the industry for over a decade. And I was an associate director in a quite renowned international firm here in Hong Kong. And I have been involved in a lot of large-scale projects, and not only in APAC but also in Middle East. So this episode is not really random. It's just about me being honest about what's happening and what's changing, and why I'm thinking what it means to be an architect today. First of all, I wanted to clarify the definition of architecture. Architecture is not just about images, and it's a decision making that becomes real, right? So it's about spaces, it's about structure, it's about climate, it's about people flow, and it's about communication, and it's code and cost and maintenance, and all of this becomes someone's daily life. So architecture isn't really dead. What is dying is the version where we only produce a narrative, but we don't own the consequences, right? So what I mean by that is what's dying is packaging without ownership. So if it's not dead, then why people keep saying architecture is dead? So I think when people saying it's dead, they're reacting to the symptoms of architecture, right? So it means more slides, more decks, but less authorship. It means faster timelines, lower fees, right? And you have to double up your work, but you're giving less of time. So there are more coordination tasks, but yes, you have less control on the output. So the result is just burning out, right? And laying offs and politics. So when I quit my job last November, I didn't quit architecture. What I really quit is the game that we have been always playing inside of the industry. Long hours, fee pressure, and lots of politics. And sometimes it's just very little real authorship, right? And AI is actually accelerating this shift and is forcing us to think, what's our real value? Before we move on to the next topic, let's define what's PPT architecture, right? Let's define it clearly. So PPT architecture is when a job becomes just references and a mood board, right? And nice diagrams and nice visualization. But when you ask the hard question from the client sometimes, like what's the structure? How does the MEP work? What's the core layout? What's the facade build-up? And how much is the cost? And how about the buildability? And there's no answers, right? And it's not really wrong to present beautiful images, but the real problem is presentation become the product. So AI doesn't really kill architecture. It kills certain tasks. Anything pattern-based and repeatable get compressed, right? For example, like quick references research, massing variations, rendering iterations, diagram styling, even basic drafting, right? So if your role is mainly producing those simple outputs, then you have to be a little bit careful now. Your role becomes cheaper, faster and less protected because of AI. So I just gave some dying roles, right? It's mainly about tasks. It's not really about people. And if you're one of those people, and then what I'm gonna say next, you have to pay special attention. You can actually see the critical shift now. The value move upward, right? So the bottom layer, whatever that you're doing at the bottom layer about productions, will be automated heavily because of AI, right? So the premium layer, which is on the top, is really about ownership. It's about judgment, it's about risk evaluation, and it's about integration. So the question here becomes, are you a producer of the images or you're an owner of a decision? So if you're the latter, then you'll be better off. There are so many layoffs. Nobody wants to get laid off, right? So I think the layoff happening for two reasons. One obviously is about the market cycle. The macro climate, the economy is not doing so well. So the pipeline slows, and the clients squeeze more fees, and the timeline got shorter and tighter, right? But second one is highly related to AI, and with all of this AI and the templates, a smaller team can actually nowadays do a much even better job than the previous bigger team, simply because AI has been improved the productivities and make people more efficient. So if the firm cuts the headcount, the expectation goes up, right? So there are less people to do the work, then you have to do a little bit more. And if you work the old school way, and then you'll get punished. So I'll give you one example, and I think that happens right now as we speak about this visualization. I think standalone visualization as a service, SaaS, right, is shrinking. And because AI can do much faster and with decent images like Nano Bananas, right, or Gemini. And the new premium in visualization industry is actually with design intelligence. So if this image can link to buildability, can link to detail, can link to system or cost, and that really has a real narrative now. So it's not just about pretty images, but reliable. I think AI is splitting the profession into two groups or two types. So type A is about slides, the deck, and the reference architect, which is strong at packaging and production. And type B is the ownership architect, right? So it's really integrate the sub-consultants, structure, MEP, cost, and also make all the critical decisions under constraints. So these kind of people will be the ownership architect. And AI actually accelerate this split. So it doesn't replace architects, but it does replace the low ownership work. This has come to my forest to tree theory, right? So if you're just a great tree, you're hardworking, you're talented, and you have a good sense, and you also have good taste. But if the overall forest is dying, then no matter what you do, you will be struggling, right? So when I say forest, it's actually meaning the ecosystem. And sometimes the smartest move is not really working harder, but it's actually to find a better location. Maybe you just need to find another forest, and then you will be in a better climate rather than in this dying forest. So it becomes quite obvious that this growing forest will be related to AI, right? So you will not lose your job because of AI, but you will lose your job to the people who uses AI, but you don't, right? So here's what AI can do, and actually what AI helped me to make the decision. It's actually come down to my decision model. It's really about the edge. It's about what AI can do to give you the edge, and the edge is about probability advantage, right? So just think about this. If something is 50 and 50, and you have no edge, right? And and if you place a bet, that's basically gambling. But if the probability is 70 and 30, and then you have an edge, and that's called strategy. So career is basically the same. If you see the odds with the help of AI more clearly, and then you make better decisions and you make better bets. I think so far everybody understands we have to embrace AI no matter what. If it's just simply to use AI, that still don't give you the edge, right? So how do you use AI, and what AI can actually give you? That's actually very important. So what I mean by that, AI doesn't give you truth. So you have to be careful about this. It only gives you speed and some options, right? And it compress the time to do researches, and you save your time to explore different scenarios. But you have to do your own verification of the output, because it's kind of hallucinate. And so the real skill is not to just use AI, but your real skill is to use AI plus this verification loop. And then that will actually give you a closed loop. Then the rule is simple. AI suggests, reality decides, right? So if it cannot survive the constraints, then it's probably just a fake. Then the verification loop by reality is the new professional advantage. So what I'm building now is called the compounding machine. Last year, when I quit my job, I have been working on this compounding machine. It's basically the same mindset as an architecture. You build a system, and then it produces value repeatedly. And the last year, it was just a one time, one luck. But how about use AI as your advantage edge, and also through your own verification process to turn this luck into a sustainable compounding machine. This is something that I have been working on at the moment. So after I gain my freedom, people think I just stay at home and doing nothing. That's just to be clear, freedom doesn't mean doing nothing, right? So freedom is, you don't need to accept every project come through the door just to survive financially. And on the contrary, you can actually choose what you want to build. And you have the power to say no to certain things. That's actually called freedom. And that's why what I said earlier about this compounding machine matters a lot, because that gives you sustainable passive income, and it's not just for flexibility, but also for choice. And I also want to touch upon the word passion, right? Because once you have the freedom, what matters the most is your passion. So I think many people don't have the passion because we're trained in the survival mode, and our educational system just to build ourselves to have a better job, to work 24/7, sorry, not 24/7, but 7 days a week, right? So 9 to 9. And we're trained in this survival mode. Suddenly, if you gained your freedom, and if you ask yourself, if money is not a problem, then what you will do, right? And many people will freeze. So I think freedom is really give you the space to find direction, and it's not just chasing deadlines. So I think I still believe in architecture because finance is just paper. It's just paper transactions, a zero-sum game. But architecture is concrete. It shaped our daily lives. It gave us dignity, comfort, and memories. So my goal is freedom, is to choose what I really want to build and why, right? So I'm not leaving architecture, but I do leave the meaningless part, which is purely about packaging without any ownership. In the end, and I think the real question is, will AI kill architecture? The real question is, what kind of architect survives, right? And which are the ones that will become obsolete? In other words, architecture isn't dead. The profession is just upgrading. And if you upgrade with it, you will be fine. But if you don't, the market will force to upgrade you.